Hey everybody and welcome to my channel. I have a handful of old playing cards here. These are from some exit games we like to play, and you can only play the game once and then you have these cards left over. And I have so many already that I decided to pick some of them and make a little mini book using some gummed paper tape. This is also the tape that I'm using when I make my own washi tapes. And I recently shared a video with the members, and I also have a free video available, and I will link those up in the top right corner. Info cards, you will also find the info cards when you click on more at the title of the video, and then you go to the description and you scroll down, and there are all the videos that I've linked in the info cards. I'm cutting papers to the right size so I can use those to bind the cards together, and I plan to cover this up then later with gesso and mixed media and collage, and that's the reason why I'm using a paper tape, because you cannot cover a plastic tape. I will use half-half. I will use the white paper tape on the sides that will build the back side of the book, so those will not be visible later. And I will use the washi tapes, the printed paper tape, for the sides that are visible later, because they are already printed with a pattern, and then I already have something going on in the little book. I'm starting with these, and I start by pairing the cards up. Finally, this will be a accordion book. So if you don't have the paper tape, you can just use some simple paper and maybe work also with a glue stick or some double-sided tape, and just use it in the same way. With the paper tape, it's a little bit easier and everything goes a bit quicker. I'm gluing two of the cards together, and I make sure that there is a tiny little gap in between so I can fold once the tape is dry. It gets quite wet because you need water to activate the glue, and that needs some drying time later. I do this with all three pairs, and I speed this up because the video will be quite long if I don't speed it up, and it's also just gluing together these cards. In my next step, I'm going to think about which folds will be visible later, and therefore I'm cutting that printed tape. I'm using a smaller one because the reason is I almost only have this smaller tape printed. I have only one roll of paper with the bigger tape that I have made to a washi tape, but I don't like the pattern in this case. I prefer this texture more. It's quite grungy. And this is the tape we've made last Saturday, and not last Saturday, the Saturday before, the 2 weeks before, because we have a video every other Saturday. So it was not the last video, but the one before. We did these washi tapes. If you like to see more videos, you can join the membership. You need to pick the mixed media play tier. You will get every other Saturday an exclusive video. It's all a process videos with me making things, different stuff. Last Saturday we made some lovely optional pages. We filled some pages, and that was a lot of fun. And that will also be the theme for the next video. There's also some bonus content available for members. Whenever I do some shopping of art supplies, I will share a little supply haul, or I make some extra stuff in between. I started with the pairs of cards because I found it just a little bit easier. And now I'm going to glue those together on the visible side, also with two strips of that printed washi tape, printed paper tape, and then I will turn it around and also glue a piece of tape of the white one to the back. That journal now needs some drying time because the paper is very wet, the paper tape. And I let that dry, and then I will cover the pages with gesso. I have done this here already to one side, and now we're going to gesso the inside. This is the side that's finally visible. I also prepped two separate cards with gesso. These will be the cover and the back. And here I'm using the usual white gesso from Liquitex. I also gave the cover and back side cards another layer of gesso just to make it a bit thicker. I leave some parts out because there the card pattern shines through a little bit. Whilst the journal is drying now, I'm going to prepare some collage fodder that I then can use to decorate the journal, and I'm using some old tea bags here. I tear this apart and then I stamp it with different images where I thought these might look nice in that journal. And I will also speed up this process a little bit because it gets so long. The video was an hour when I started editing it, and I just wanted to make it a little bit shorter. I'm using stamps from our Doodle Flowers stamp set, butterflies from the Butterflies and Moths stamp set, and some doodle branches from the Sketchy Flowers stamp set. I'm not sure if the Sketchy Flowers are still available as a clear version, but they are always available as the rubber version. So in case you like our stamps, jump over to our shop. We are shipping not worldwide, but in many countries. We are shipping to the US, to Australia, to the UK, of course, and some European countries. My gesso is dry, and I really like how this turned out. There are some of the stamped images visible, and I really like that shining through. And now we are going to decorate the pages, and I'm starting with the stamped tea bags. I'm using gel medium today to adhere the collage elements, and I'm also going to use this collage paper. This is a bonus video I shared with the members. I always try to squeeze in some extra videos over the 2 weeks where we have no video, so they have something to watch and just to say thank you for the support. And I really enjoyed creating this collage paper, this type of collage paper, and I plan to do this with the other under paper I had just before, and I'm going to use this and make something similar. And I really like the colors on that collage paper, and I will just keep them for the book. So that pink, that little bit of emerald green, together with the brownish yellow color that's also on the old tea bags. I'm now collaging bits and pieces of these types of paper to the journal. I just do this intuitively, and I really like that process of creating something without thinking too much. I just do whatever I think looks nice. I'm working with the gel medium from Talons. It's quite a heavy one. I can't remember if it's a heavy gel or if it's just a usual gel medium. I prefer the heavier ones for collaging. Usually I don't use mediums for collage. I use just my glue stick, but I thought I want to have a really not smooth, but I don't know how to describe it, a plain piece of paper as the book, so not too much edges standing up, because I don't want it to become too bulky and thick. And I also plan to use this book as a little scrapbooking mini album. You can use this type of book as an art journal, as a little recipe book, for example, or as a scrapbook mini album. That's what I use it for. And that's why I use the gel medium, also because I want it to last for a long time. And with a glue stick, you never really know how long it will stay, and the gel will definitely be a bit safer. I will now speed the collage part up because for the same reason the video is still 40 minutes long, and I want it to be less than half an hour, because otherwise usually it doesn't perform that well on YouTube. Towards the end, I decided to also use a little bit of old book paper and use that on as a collage element, because I really like the writing of it. It's a vintage book, and I think that goes so well with the whole style of the little journal. And of course, I also want to decorate the covers, and I'm using the same papers. I will later decide which one I like more as the front cover, and then I will use the other for the back. Unfortunately, I made one mistake with the little book. I thought the gel medium was dry, and then I folded the book together and laid it under a stack of paper books to press it. And the gel medium wasn't 100% dry, and that means I have some tiny bits that got damaged when I then reopened the book again. That was a little bit annoying at first, but later I really found that the spots that were torn off look quite nice and vintagey and a bit used and a little bit charming for that style, I think. So it was not a big problem in the end, but that's something just keep in mind. maybe let it dry for a few hours, not only for 1 hour. And here you can see the parts where something stuck to the other side of the page. I think there were 2 or 3 spots that were a little bit damaged. Finally, it's not a problem, but it's depending on the design you're making. If it's something that should be fine and stay together, then it might be horrible if you have some torn papers in it. To build layers, I'm using watercolors on top and create just some blobs of color on that background. I'm using my granulating watercolors. I made a palette recently that was also a bonus video for the members, and I put together all my granulating colors, and I like to have them in one box. So because I used them quite a lot, not only for mixed media, also in my sketchbook, because they have such a nice texture and make wonderful backgrounds. And that's why I wanted to have them in one box, so I don't have to search for the certain color I want to have. And here I just use these colors and plop them in onto that background. I really like that watercolor over gel medium and gesso works so different compared to watercolor paper or clear gesso. It looks a bit bloppy. I don't know a right word for it, but it's not a smooth texture. It's a very, I think, kind of a little bit of a childish texture, and it looks as if I didn't want to add that color. I don't know if that makes sense, but I really like the look of it. And I think it works so well with the whole design on there. And I'm using, you can see some cobalt, greens, a little bit of a yellowish color. That's from Jello. I'm not sure what the name is. I can't remember that. And I think I also might add some extra opera, but I'm not sure. The pink one is the light opera or bright opera from Jello. And here I mixed myself a brownish color, I think with a yellow violet from Schminke, and maybe a touch of green. And I just played intuitively again. I try to not fill every page completely. That's the bright opera, one of my favorite colors. I try to leave some white space and some darks and lights in between. That's a bit hard to not keep on going with the watercolors because it's really a lot of fun. Because I like that grunginess, I decided to bring in some charcoal, and I'm using the Derwent XL blocks, the liquid charcoal, so you can dilute this with water, activate it with water, and then usually I think it's meant to be used for sketching, and I do that. I use it a lot in my sketchbook, but it also gives a really nice and interesting grungy texture. And I'm adding that greenish one a little bit here and there. I also wanted to bring in the white areas a little bit more and the highlights, and therefore I'm using that Art Graf white. I use it all the time. I hopefully will not forget to link it up in the video description. It's my favorite white watercolor. And here I'm doing the same to the both covers, to the back side and the front. I add some watercolor. I just give them a similar look as the inside pages. As everything is dry, I'm going to give you a little flip through, and I added this flower. It's just a stamp from our Mix It Up 7 stamp set and this flower. And I added a few number stamps, and I did this just to record a little reel for Instagram. So that's what I've added. And now we're going to build the cover. And I decided to pick this as my front cover, and for a closure I wanted to use some ribbon. I'm going to cut this in half, and then we're going to adhere it to the book, and then we are going to adhere the covers on top. I'm using some double-sided tape to fix the ribbon before I adhere the covers. I think that's an easy way to make sure that it does not move around whilst you're gluing the covers on top. I plan to adhere the covers with my glue stick. I trust that glue stick quite a lot, and in case it will not last a long time, I could easily stick the covers down again with another type of glue, but the Tombow glue stick is usually quite good, so I decided to pick this for the cover because this was the easiest way to do it. I'm starting with the back, and then I'm going to put the front down, and then I'm going to put this under my stack of books again. This time I'm 100% sure that the pages are completely dry. To decorate the cover, I am planning to stamp butterfly onto a piece of jelly print, and I used that because of the color. I had this left over from another project, and I'm using that with black Versafine Clair ink, and I'm putting black embossing powder on top to make that image a little bit raised and more visible and more special because it's for the cover. I'm going to heat set this and cut the butterfly out, and now I'm going to decorate the front cover. I also have these two tickets here. This is also a little bonus short I've made for the members, how I made these. They are really lovely and perfect if you need some collage stuff. And I really like that with just a few stamps and color and paint, you can easily create different types of collage fodder and papers that match your projects. And here I just think about how to put that and where to glue that down. I'm now going to leave you with a photo of the finished book. You will find photos of the inside pages over on our blog, and there is a link in the video description, and maybe I will also put one to the top right corner info box so you can have a look at the close-up images. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope we will see us next time. Bye.